What's your first Try Vegan experience? How were you introduced to Try Vegan? From what I remember, you were a competing smoothie company at, was it Electric Adventure?
No. Spring of 2016, my friends, like, they had started this smoothie company with the idea of providing like a healthy vegan and organic. Organic was a big part of their concept at music festivals, which they had all kind of gotten into and realized that there was not a lot of nourishing options. And they saw this as a way to kind of get to more festivals and provide something that people wanted. And like, I thought it was cool. They were like, oh, you know, you got some business experience. Why don't you help us out? And the first event that we were doing,
Mysteryland 2016. I
2016,
remember that.
which
I remember
was
a lot
very
about
cool.
that.
I mean, that was like the first festival like that I had been to.
No, it wasn't. Governor's Ball was.
Well, oh, that's true.
You went
Because
to Governor's Ball
before that,
first.
yes,
So you wanted to do research for
right,
your company and you were
right.
researching the competition,
So I looked up,
which happened to be a little red food truck
right,
called,
Try Vegan. I was asking the boys. I was like, so you know, who else is selling smoothies at Mysteryland and stuff? I saw Try Vegan, and I saw that you were planning on slinging smoothies there too. And I was like, well, I wanted to reach out to you, and maybe if you're a cool guy, we could at least strategize, not necessarily like price fix and monopolize or whatever, but at least like if we know that if we're charging $7 or $12, you know, whatever. I just thought it'd be cool to have some sort of strategic alliance with you. So I reached out, right, and somehow, yeah,
we hopped on like a three-way
yeah.
call. Listen, you were asking me questions I did not have the answer to. I only had started like that September, and this was probably in the next March. And I hadn't done anything big, like at all. Like no Governor's Ball. Mysteryland was even big for me then. I was just as nervous as you guys. I was just worried about the permits and the paperwork and all that. Yeah, so we were talking about paperwork and a lot of those logistical things and whatever. I had just about as much information as you guys. I knew you had to keep things cold. I knew you needed a hand wash sink. I knew you needed a 3-bay sink to do all the dishes and everything. And health permits, and
Yeah.
that's always a challenge with every single town you go to. It's all different,
Right.
especially when you don't know what you're doing at all. Do you give it to the person at the festival to give to the health department? Do you reach out to the health department by yourself? What does the health department even need? What do they look for? Do I have all the stuff that they need? We were all pretty much talking about that same stuff. And I don't know how you butted yourself onto my truck or if I needed the help. Do you
No,
remember?
well, yeah, you were like, hey, is anybody available for Governor's Ball? You're like, I need an extra hand. I don't know if you had just maybe lost somebody that was supposed to be
I didn't have
helping
enough
or
people, man. I just needed bodies in that
yeah.
truck. I was starting fresh, so no one knew what fun was to come. And also working on a food truck, that sounds like hard work. It sounds like hard work, which it is. So this is 2016. Me and Bill hadn't talked in years, believe it or not. Chef Sean, he was pretty much on board the whole time. My good friend's roommate Luke, who I was also friends with, but like kind of tangentially, like he hopped on board. The competition, it was all guys. It couldn't have just been us.
Maybe it was Nick.
Nick with the long hair.
Yeah.
Was that it?
It's fuzzy. During that call, I was in LA. You were asking about GovBall, and in my head, I was picturing some sort of like politicians gathering in a ballroom sort of setting. Obviously, very different from what the governor's ball actually is, but that was my initial picture. I had never heard of it. I'm so glad that we got to do the Randall's Island Gov Ball though those years because it was Queens Corona. Like it's better than the parking lot of Shea Stadium. That added something to it that has been lost since then.
But you're going from like Kanye West, 50 Cent, huge names to like, I don't want to sound like a boomer or anything, but like, I don't know who these people are. They're definitely
Yeah.
not at that scale. They're not at that level.
Dude, I remember we had Nas, The Strokes. It was an eclectic mix. It wasn't just like one
Yeah, now
specific genre.
it's all
Louis the
hip-hop.
Child, like
I remember Marshmello being there. That was pretty cool.
yeah.
So what do you remember from that?
Right off the bat, we were just busy. The demographics for this sort of festival, I think it was heavier on the like somebody that would be a plant-based person than like the general population. The first memory I have, there being a long
Were you?
line.
I think you were the cashier and the person calling it out.
Just being like, all right, I got a falafel. By that point, you know, you have 4 items and you have 20 people kind of in that pool waiting. There's obviously some people that ordered the same thing. So it was like, oh, you know, falafel for the kid with the, you know, with the bandana. And then, yeah, I was just thinking about getting
chaotic.
coffee that morning at Starbucks and how they, almost like a humorous thing, they would write with Sharpie on the Starbucks cup and then like mispronounce your name and stuff. But the idea was good because then like you take the name with the order and then you call the name, and there's a lot less confusion.
Yeah, that revolutionized the business. And then we've been friends ever since.
In a decade.
We were at See Here Now, and some young girls, they sat next to us at a table and asked if we had a vape, but they were interested in us. And they were asking, how did we meet? And I'm excited to tell these two girls how we met because it's an interesting story. And then we realized that they thought we were homosexuals and they wanted to know how we met as a couple.
Why did we...
Like, not only was the excitement for me telling the story no longer there, also it was stranger danger to them because now we're two straight guys sitting next to them. It
was over.
Got really quiet really fast. I didn't understand.
But we were excited about talking about our origin story, but it's not that special. Just talking about two heterosexual males becoming friends, I guess, is not that exciting of a...
Because she was like, oh no, I just like asking people how they met. I'm like, I'm an interesting person. Like, she likes to know how people meet. Yeah, 10 years of... you were in California for a little bit.
In 2016, I moved out to California and came back in 2019. And so, like, I guess during 17, 18 season, I wasn't really around. 2019 Gov Ball, I was back. I was not in good shape. I remember that year. It was nice to get out of the house to go to that festival, but I was not firing on all cylinders that year.
2019 was a rough year for me. At Governor's Ball, you have to drop off your truck the day before the festival. It was pouring. It was raining. I didn't have electricity. You know, the typical starting off a festival. And my grandfather was on his deathbed before I left. Like, I hooked up to a ventilator. Me and my dad had rushed him to the hospital. He was ready to go. And I said my goodbye before I left to drop my truck off. I got word my grandfather died. So before Governor's Ball even started, it's a weird place to be. You need to be on. Like, I can't not do that. That's 5 figures in revenue for my business. It's like a huge deal. Made it through, still did it. And I got back like that Monday or Tuesday. It was the funeral. Then, as you know, 3 weeks later, my father passes away. That is traumatic. It was out of nowhere. He just dropped down in work and didn't come back up. And then, like, what do I do? I'm living with him and my mom and my brother, my sister. And I just kind of paused the food truck. I think I was still meal prepping. I definitely was, and I paused that too.
Did you start meal prepping before COVID?
Yeah, I was meal prepping in like 2018. I started that. Things spiraled out of control. The way I kind of got back into it and the meal prep service was Jim, who you know now, my friend Jim. I hadn't talked to him in forever. And he reached out to me about wanting to start a food truck. And then he's the one who kind of got me started into the meal prep again. And this is in November. And so November comes around and I start meal prepping again. You know what happens in 2020? My food truck events start getting canceled. Rowan cancels their Holly Bash. Princeton cancels their LGBT festival. And I'm thinking, Governor's Ball better not be canceled. Boom, Governor's Ball is canceled. The world shuts down. So I'm coming off of a year where I didn't do well because I didn't have any money from the food truck. I'm thinking the food truck season's coming around. Food truck season didn't come around. My bills kept piling up. So I got ass blasted pretty hard that year. And I was meal prepping. Thank God I at least had that. And I was skating by with that for like 2 years, just paying Peter. What's the saying? Paying Paul to pay Peter.
It's like,
You would help certain times. And you'd come from Woodcliff Lakes or Ridgewood all the way to Trenton via mass transportation.
Yeah.
Driving that is rough. So for you to help me, like, thanks, man.
It was something to do. It was like, it was giving me some purpose in this some of the darker days of my life too. It is a long train ride though, from Bergen County, 40 minutes to Secaucus, and then that Secaucus to Trenton.
Oh my God.
An hour and 20,
You didn't have a car.
I did not have a car at the time. No.
That makes sense then.
Yeah, things ended a little rough for me out on the West Coast, and when I came back, my license might have been suspended, but I definitely didn't own a vehicle. Yeah.
Now you have 5.
I do. Well, the first one that I got was the 1999 Toyota 4Runner. That was like, after not having a car for a little bit, great vehicle, still got it. Got the Hyundai Palisade, 26, but I had a 22 Palisade. I started doing like a little side hustle with the car rental. This is the app called Turo. The first one that I got was this 2022 Hyundai Palisade, which I recently replaced with a 26 Palisade. That's like just a good family car. It's nice, it's comfortable, and the car I wanted to get something that I could drive more comfortably, but I also couldn't necessarily afford like a full-on car payment for a new car. So I knew about Turo. I was like, if I get a normal but nice car like this Palisade, especially a 7-seater that I could rent out. And so, I got that Palisade in September of 21, put it right on the app, and it started like just instantly started renting out and would make a profit every month and would be rented most of the time and stuff. And so then I was like, oh, let me do it with a cooler car. And that's when I ordered the M3. So I got the stick 2022 M3, like a lot of fun, that
I
car.
saw that car with zero
Yeah,
miles on
yeah,
it.
man. The
Or was
day I
it three
picked it up,
miles?
you drove it. Yeah.
How many miles you got on it now?
It's close to 60K now, that one.
60K of strangers
Yeah,
abusing
a
her.
lot of stranger. I put some of the miles on it myself, so
You
yeah.
got the Land Rover.
Oh yeah, the Defender's a great car. And the Jeep. Yeah.
We've taken the Jeep to the beach.
Take the doors off, the roof off. It's fun. Yeah.
So what are you, like a doctor, a lawyer? Where do you get all these cars from?
Yeah, no, I just, my day job is I work with developmentally disabled adults and children, mostly adults. Autism, cerebral palsy, Down syndrome, all sorts of things. And
What
yeah.
got you into that?
So my sister is developmentally disabled, and it was like I started volunteering at this program when I was a kid. Started working on the staff in the summer when I was like 14. So I've been part of it for a while, and then that year, 2019, when I came home and was just like down. The lady that runs the camp knows me, my family, and stuff. She knew I was home. She asked me want to come work for a little bit. And I was like not in any shape to go on job interviews or like I really probably wasn't even ready to do this, but I did because I needed to do something. I was just like in bed half the day or hoping to like, get on a train, go to Trenton, or at least do something. So yeah, but now it's 6 years later and it's like I don't make a ton of money doing it. It's like a consistent paycheck compared to, car sales, which I always made more money doing, but like the fluctuations were always a little, it would be really tough to leave the job that I'm at now just because of like, the relationship that I have with a lot of these kids. But yeah, like you see, even when we're on the truck, I get some of my campers, like will call like nonstop.
They do call there, and
They
you do
call.
answer.
I love these. It's like also like it feels nice to just go to work every day and they're excited to see me, get these hugs, and it's a fun job and it's relatively easy. Like there's certain things that we have to do that like wiping somebody else's ass is not something that everybody would be okay with. I mean, I'm desensitized to it now. I do it so many times a day, every day. Occasionally, like there's some behavioral things we got to deal with. Like that's about as tough as it gets. But overall, it's like fun. We're just hanging out all day with fun people. A lot of them have just really interesting personalities, and I know them all very well right now. Yeah,
It's a life that chose you almost.
yeah. But I enjoy it, and I'm like decently good at it for the most part.
You
'Cause
drive a
I
bus. You
do
got your
care.
CDL.
I have a CDL now because we have a little bus, and that was always a dream. I always loved buses.
You have a history with buses.
When I was a freshman in high school, my friends and I would go to the mall on Friday afternoons. So this was like, let's say 2001. We didn't have driver's licenses yet. There was just a New Jersey Transit bus that we could take from our town, Ridgewood, to the Paramus Park Mall. And our moms started letting us do that. And we would go to the mall and come back by bus. This one evening, on the bus ride home, there were no other passengers. So I asked the driver if he would let me drive the bus. I had always been obsessed with buses, so I had asked a few bus drivers throughout my life, never really expecting, obviously, anybody was going to hand the keys over to a kid to drive the bus. I met Gazmend Dervishi that day, Albanian immigrant working for New Jersey Transit that took a chance on me. He said, oh, you want me to give you a bus? I give you a bus. Let's do it. Since there were no other passengers on board, he kind of just pulled right over. I got in, showed me, and all of a sudden I'm driving a bus. I'd driven
North
cars.
Jersey. North, not
Paramus,
just,
New Jersey. It's pretty congested.
What time of the day?
Evening, like 6 or 7. Like it was,
Rush hour?
yeah. As time progressed, now I started going highways and everything because after he dropped us off that day, directly to my house, he stopped making his stops. Parked the bus, got out. I went inside, grabbed us all a couple cans of soda, and he says, oh, you want to drive bus again? You call me, and he rips up a little piece of bus schedule that already had some writing on it. I remember distinctly it said, imagine a woman curves to your satisfactory. But on the other side, he wrote name and his phone number to his personal cell. Like every Friday, freshman year of high school, we would meet him somewhere. I would drive it back to Ridgewood, and that was like a 40-minute drive on highways, driving a full-size New Jersey Transit bus as a 14-year-old kid. So yeah, I've always liked buses, and now I do have a CDL. I can drive a bus legally. I pause this. Hey.
Whenever I hear that he wrote, imagine a woman curves to your satisfactory, I think that guy was listening to Tony Robbins and like Manifestation, and he's just writing down, imagine a woman curves to your satisfactory.
Perhaps. I mean, there was like the speculation that spending all this time with a 14-year-old boy. And towards the end, that is kind of why the relationship came to a close. Wanted me to go to Albania with him. He wanted me to meet his family. It didn't make sense anymore. Never anything weird until that proposition, I guess.
Now look at you, driving
Oh
buses.
man, if he knew. Like I wish I had a picture, like even of the bus schedule.
Yeah, that wouldn't happen these days.
I don't think there was no CCTV cameras on buses.
So you want to talk veganism?
Yeah,
So when you hear the word vegan, what do
mm.
you think of?
I mean, I don't have a negative connotation to it.
You were also vegan
I
for a
also,
while.
yeah, I was like heavily inspired by like working with you, and it made so much sense. And it seemed like, why wouldn't everybody do this?
That's what I
And
thought too.
like,
Little did I know.
yeah, I don't know. I didn't stick with it. I still appreciate it, and I still like opt for when given the option, like for two things. Like a lot of times, like I prefer like the veggie option, but I am still eating some meat, and there is like a little degree of like apathy that has to be there in order to be okay with it, like selfishness, like enjoying the taste or how I feel after I eat something. But like it just makes so much sense. I wish it were a more accepted thing, not this like fringe concept that like is associated with like
Yeah.
weirdos.
It's become very fringe and very pushed to the corner.
Yeah.
Like veganism, when I started, didn't even people didn't know what the food truck meant. But a lot of people would come up to my truck, "What's vegan? What's vegan? What's vegan?" And then we saw that boom with like, the plant-based meats and everything's vegan, and oh my God, this is the new world order
Mm.
agenda type thing. It kind of happened like as Beyond Meat was kind of cratering, and this carnivore thing started picking up. And it's hard to stick with things
Yeah.
just in general in life. So a lot of people would become vegan and then not be vegan anymore.
All right, let's pause for a second so I can get Irene. She's about to.